China has received a shipment of 10,000 tons of wheat from Kazakhstan, which marked the first deal on the import of grain from Kazakhstan, reports Xinhua news agency.
According to the agency, the imported from Kazakhstan wheat was delivered successfully to the security checkpoint Alashankou, Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in northwest China and will soon reach the country's market. Kazakhstan is actively promoting the export of wheat to China since 2004. In accordance with the agreements between the countries, the Chinese company on import and export of grains, oils and food products purchased 10,000 tons of wheat from Kazakhstan. At the end of the last year, it was revealed that Kazakhstan will supply up to 3 million tons of grain to the countries of Southeast Asia, transiting it through China.
The Forum of the CIS member states was opened on Friday in Moscow. Being the chair of the Commonwealth in 2010, Russia has presented its action plan. The establishment of the free trade zone and common economic space should be followed with the introduction of the common currency. Unfortunately, so far, the Commonwealth of Independent States remains a highly ineffective organization, unlike its Western analog, the European Union.
This forum was a long-awaited event which had to show the direction for the further development of the CIS. Red tape and exaggerated document circulation are the outdated traits of the old format of the Commonwealth. Yet no one plans to discontinue their membership. Even Georgia, although exited the organization, has not cancelled its participation in most agreements. Thus, the unification on the new level should begin with the agreement on the common free trade zone. Igor Shuvalov also said that the energy and transportation would be the leading areas for building the future economy of the CIS. Russia has once again stated that CIS states should consider using a common currency. It can introduce the successful launch of the common economic space. Nevertheless, there is already an agreement with Astana in place. At the same time, Kazakh business is currently more concerned about the legal restrictions to invest in Russia's market. We need complementary means to attract investments. The creation of international financial centers in Moscow, Almaty and Baku will complement each other and help attract investments in our countries.
Kazakh State Treasury will soon be placed under special control. While speaking at the plenary session of the Senate, the Minister of Economy and Budget Planning, Bahit Sultanov, said that his office has prepared a bill to strengthen the responsibility for using budgetary funds.
The chief economist of Kazakhstan stated that the document will clearly define responsibilities and those to whom it should be applied. He said, quote, "Currently, together with the Accounts Committee and the Finance Ministry, we began the development of a separate bill aimed at the strengthening of the responsibility for the budget process participants. The bill will be introduced to the Parliament by September 1st of this year." Today, the working group is considering a bill that would not only identify the types of violations, but also its specific use and practice through administrative ways, such as other legislative acts, which will ensure the improvement of financial and budgetary discipline.
Prime Minister Karim Masimov's works were found in a garbage dump in Astana. Namely, these were copies of the book he co-authored titled Kazakh Transport Economy.
The observant citizens discovered the books at one of the elite neighborhoods of the capital near the Hotel Radisson. The senior official's work contains no information about the circulation of Commissioner, but was apparently published in Finland in 2002. Back then, Karim Masimov was a Minister of Transport and Communications. The book was co-authored by Samdinara Timirova. The most interesting detail, the garbage cans with Masimov's books were located next to luxury apartments, one of which is occupied by the cabinet chair himself.
For the first time, the archives of the Kazakh president have declassified documents related to the war era, as well as materials about Semipalatinsk nuclear test site and the signing of the declaration on the dissolution of the Soviet Union.
The truth is indeed out there. The X-files from the President archives are now public, including the information about the forced collectivization, political repressions, deportation of nations, and development of virgin lands. Most importantly, though, is the data on the closure of the Semipalatinsk nuclear test site, says the archives director Vladimir Shepel.
Moscow used to be the main decision-maker back then, and I think this episode was definitely an example of genocide against its own people, which should have been solved differently. The declassified files reveal information not only about the Soviet past. From now on, anyone can learn about one of the most crucial moments in the modern history, the collapse of the Soviet Union. Taraza Abilova, the archive officer, talks about the role of the famous writer and public activist Anwar Alimjanov played in this process. On December 26, 1991, when heading the Council of Republics of Supreme Court of the USSR, Alimjanov was the one to sign the formal declaration of the USSR's termination.
И как ни странно, человек репрессированный.
Alimjanov came from a repressed family. His father was subject to repression, and strangely enough, it was him who signed a declaration, which you can see now at this exhibition.
О распаде Советского Союза.
Other unique items in the archives now available to public are the personal documents of famous historian Ilyas Yesenberlin and Lev Gumilov. Vladimir Shepel says that the archives will continue to exhibit more rare documents to attract the attention of Kazakhstan citizens to the history of their country.
The head of state Nursultan Nazarbayev has congratulated women in his Astana residence on the eve of the International Women's Day, traditionally celebrated on March 8th across the former Soviet bloc. The greetings from the president, however, made only to a select few. The 18 guests included the minister of the Czech government and the medal winner of the recent Olympics. Nazarbayev made a lot of jokes and even sang his favorite song, after which traditionally wished his female compatriots to give birth to more children and always be a reliable support to the country.
Choir singing for the favorite song of the head of the state was actually saved for the last year in the meeting of the president with women on the eve of International Women's Day. The beginning of the event saw Nursultan Nazarbayev giving out instructions, as he is concerned about the dropping birth rates despite the growth of the nation's welfare.
Then the third work shift begins, to put children to bed and please husbands. Maybe I should issue a decree abolishing this third shift, but seriously, there are a lot of issues that we must deal with.
The president was joking a lot, giving gifts to all 18 women in presence and inviting them to taste the cake made by his chefs. The women were very thankful, expressing it by pointing out his achievements, charisma and other qualities. A TV producer, Arujan Sain, invited the president to participate in one of her TV projects.
Мы вас встретим в Алматинском аэропорту.
We will meet you in the Almaty airport and bring you to the studio. You can win $250, but I won't tell you the questions now. Using the occasion, Nursultan Nazarbayev recalled his meeting with the late Turkmen President Niyazov, who raised a golden monument to himself during his life and proposed Nazarbayev to follow suit. Apparently, the head of state earned it for building Astana. In response, Nazarbayev quoted Marcus Aurelius.
I want people asking in whose honor the monument was built, but rather for my descendants to wonder why there's still no monument in my honor.
The president ended the meeting appealing to all Kazakh citizens, asking them to love each other because apparently it was love that helped him to build the country's capital in the empty steppe and still helps him to rule Kazakhstan.
These were all the latest updates from Kazakhstan. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.